Hey, thanks for being here. I want to share with you today 3 things that keep coming up from people who are new to the plant-based diet and they have questions about. So I want to share some tips with you, 3 tips that have helped me along my journey that may help you as well. And I always encourage people to test this stuff out for yourself, because what I found is that we are very similar and yet we have these little nuances that are a little bit different. So you've got to really test it to see what works for you. In the beginning, these are 3 tips that really helped me, so I want to share them with you. And I just gotta say that the mountains today in Sequim, Washington are so beautiful. I wish you could be here and see them with me because they're snow-capped now, the sun is out, it's a beautiful warm day, and I have noticed that the more I eat colorful, beautiful foods, the more I start to see beautiful things around me. It's kind of wild. You know, I have a friend who is going to a grocery store right down the road because it was so convenient, but notice that the people didn't look quite as alive. And then when he started to going to a better quality grocery store, people had a different kind of energy about them. Not to say everybody's perfect, we all have our moments, but people, generally speaking, start to look more alive. They look happier when they're eating better quality foods. So, hey, right on. You're here. You're going for the plant-based diet. I love that. And I love hanging out with people who are adventuresome enough to go against the whole mainstream. When everybody's going this way, you're going that way because you see a better way. Okay, so the 3 things people ask me about. First of all, how do I get my taste buds to like this stuff? You know? And then the second thing is, how do I deal with my hunger when it comes up in the middle of the day and there's nothing like really handy to eat? How do I avoid going back to the foods that I used to love and stay on track with what I know is better for my body and my mind and my spirit? And then the third thing is, how do I deal with peer pressure? That can be a tricky one, but you got to live your values, you got to be true to yourself, and if people come along and razz you, there are some ways that you can get through that. So first of all, let's talk about greens. How do you like more of these beautiful things? In the beginning, I didn't think they were so beautiful. I would run away from these things because if you knew me way back when, you'd know that I avoided the salad bar. I did not like going over there and dumping on a bunch of greens that to me tasted bitter at the time. So it's probably because my body was pretty acid at the time with all the grains and dairy and meat and all that stuff. It's all very acidic. So when you get into this stuff, your body's gone, no, I want more of the stimulating foods and not the alkalizing foods. But how I did it was I started off and I would make smoothies in the morning, which many of you are probably doing already. What I did was I would put a little bit of chocolate hemp milk in the blender, then I would put some frozen bananas and you freeze them without the skin on, and then I would put in just a little bit of spinach. You know, I was so like, but I put in some spinach and I didn't even taste it. I would drink it down and say, that was amazing, that was delicious. And then the next day I put a little bit more spinach in and a little bit more, and now I find that I put in all kinds of this stuff. You can put in any kind of greens you want. This is Swiss chard. This is kale. You could put in celery. Celery is so good for us. You could put in bok choy. Bok choy is really highly rated. All of these are really highly rated on the nutrient-dense scale. And then you could also put in watercress. I just found this morning and I'm so happy to find it because this is really alive. Those enzymes are really active and it's also very nutrient dense. But really, whatever is in season for you where you live right now, go to the produce section, get some greens and toss them in. And you will find your body is so amazing that pretty soon you will just naturally crave more salads. That's what happened to me and it really surprised me, but now I really, really crave salads. If I miss them for a day or two, I'm like, I gotta have a salad because my body, your body, all very intelligent. It knows that high octane fuel that really supports all the systems we have. It supports our body, it supports our mind, and it really enhances our spirit as well. So that's one way to acclimate to eating more greens. Is just toss them in your smoothie in the morning and pretty soon your body will naturally want more. And I always like to say to people, don't force yourself. Don't force yourself. Just like your body will naturally want more of this stuff as you go along. So just trust that. Hunger is the second one. And the second thing I want to talk about is, what do you do when you get hungry throughout the day? You got to have some kind of safety net. Like, to me, this is my safety net. I love to take this around. It's just like an old herb jar, and I fill it with superfoods. Like, I like the most nutrients in a small package, right? So this week, for example, you could use anything, but what I'm using this week, you'll see in here, are mulberries, golden berries, and savvy seeds. All very nutrient dense. And I know when I have this in my purse, I can just grab it, and if I'm hungry, I know I don't have to freak out. I've got something right there. So I encourage you, take whatever you like, even if it's just an extra apple. An extra apple will really come in handy. Or an orange or celery with walnut butter. You know, it's just make it simple, make it convenient, and make sure you have this when you're out and about. Okay, and as long as we're talking about being hungry, I've got to share this with you because this made a huge difference for me. And it made sense mentally as well, because when you think about it, our soil is so depleted of minerals now that our bodies are hungry a lot of times because we're craving more minerals. So what I did was I started adding more nori sheets to my diet. And it's so simple. Like, you could either use it as a wrap, right? You could roll something up in this, or you can just cut it up and put it on your salad. So for me, what I like to do is just take my scissors. I love my scissors. But if you don't have scissors, that's okay. You can just rip it off and put it in your salad. But a really convenient thing to do is to just roll this up. Now keep in mind, this has 4 calories per sheet, and yet it's loaded with protein and vitamins and iron and fiber. And what you can do is you just take this nori sheet and you just cut strips and put it into your salad. It's pretty easy, right? And as long as we're on the subject of nori, I got to share with you that animals really love this too. I know dogs, my dog will eat a whole sheet of this in a day because I noticed that she was eating the dirt a lot of times, and I thought she's getting really good quality food, but yet she was missing the minerals. So I gave her a sheet of this, and she loved it. This is my dog, Ruby. Isn't she adorable? So we want to give her the best food possible. See how she likes the nori strips? She loves this stuff. Okay, go. Okay, just to top off the salad, I'm going to show you a really super quick dressing. This is pasta sauce, and I'm going to add just a little bit of fig balsamic vinegar to that to taste. And then I'm going to add, you can add any kind of nut butter you want. This is peanut butter, or you could add an almond butter, or you could add, oh, there's so many out there. So you just stir that all together, and you have a salad dressing that is so simple, and it doesn't have any preservatives in it at all. I love that. And another thing that's going to help you not feel so hungry all the time is chia seeds. This is something that I started adding this to my smoothie, and I found that I could go a lot longer without any craving for any other food because they're so filling. I mean, they're really high in omega-3s, and they're gelatinous so that they will expand, and it just makes you feel satiated, and you just don't get hungry as much. You know, I put this in my smoothie, and I like to eat, but I would find that when I added this in my smoothie, that I could go till noon without feeling hunger at all, which was kind of surprising for me. But give chia seeds a whirl. They're really, really very filling. They're good for weight loss too. Okay, and the third thing I was going to talk to you about today is peer pressure. How do you deal with it? Now, sometimes people, they just want to debate you, right? They're just like, they are not doing it, so they just want to debate you. And then other times people are genuinely concerned. And the two things that come up most often is, where do you get your protein and where do you get your calcium? Oh my gosh, you're not drinking cow's milk. How are you going to get calcium? Well, they're good questions, right? Because we've all been so indoctrinated to think that we need to get protein from meat and we need to get calcium from cow's milk. but it's not true. So we need to know like exactly what our body needs. Now when somebody asks me, where are you getting your protein? I'll say to them, well, how much do you think I need? And most of the time they don't know. And I didn't know for a long time, but now I know that my body type, my exercise level, I need between 50-55 grams of protein, and I feel really good with that. And calcium between 1,000 milligrams and 1,200 milligrams works for me. So you need to know these things because you will be asked by people these questions. They're going to want to know, where do you get your protein? And if they really want to know, you can tell them. And then it makes you feel better too because you know you're giving your body all the nutrients that it requires. So just two really simple things is for protein. I like the raw protein powder in my smoothie in the morning. That is really good, and I love it because it's from sprouted seeds and grains, and so I'm getting the enzymes as well. A couple things I would avoid, and that is if you're looking for a protein powder, avoid the ones with soy protein isolate because it's a highly processed soy product, and then also whey. Whey is a dairy product that's like a byproduct of cheese. So personally, I would stay away from those protein sources. And there are so many other protein sources out there that we get into in the online course. As far as calcium goes, what I like to do is, this is one tip, and that is blackstrap molasses. I don't necessarily like the taste of it, but when I put it in my smoothie, I don't even taste it. And I know first thing in the morning, if I put 2 tablespoons in there, I'm already getting 400 milligrams of calcium. So if you're adding the bok choy, the tempeh, the dates, the so many other things that contain calcium, you're going to be just fine. So the last thing I want to share with you today is this thing called B12, vitamin B12. You may get questions about this. Because B12 is from a bacteria, and because we live in such a sterile environment, vegans don't get the B12 because it's in animal products. So T. Colin Campbell said in the China study that if you are going on a plant-based diet, you actually have enough reserves in your system for up to 3 years because the body stores B12. So it's not like you have to freak out right away and run out and get B12, although it's a good idea to supplement your diet with B12. And then also DHA and D2, it's a good idea to get those as well because most Americans in general are lacking in those vitamins. So that's my 3 quick tips for today. I hope you found them helpful. Please leave your comments. I would love to hear what's working well for you. And take care of yourself. Be good to yourself. And love yourself. It's a ripple effect, right? The more we do this for ourselves, the more we naturally will just ripple out and it affects other people and the rest of the world. So thank you for everything you're doing, and we'll catch you next time. Oh man, this is so good.